Pay close attention. What you're about to see is Bible prophecy being fulfilled.
Welcome to another edition of YPN News, bringing you news as it relates to Bible prophecy and, of course, as is foretold by Israel Hawkins. Now, tonight we're going to start off our broadcast as we turn our focus over to health. YPN's Larry McGee has an interesting report revealing an unexpected culprit behind what doctors are calling or classifying as brain disease. Larry, what's the story?
Pestilence, Catan, and more evidence demonstrating the perils associated with swine consumption. According to a newly released report, the most common cause of the plague of adult onset epilepsy all across the world is neurocysticercosis, which plainly put is pork tapeworms curled up and living inside our brains. A report released by the Mayo Clinic describes the affliction. Cysticercosis, which is the larva or offspring of the tapeworm, creates holes in the human brain and other bodily tissue. The larva can grow up to 23 feet in length and can survive in the human body up to 25 years. The brain tissue of one person can be afflicted with so many holes caused by cerci that under MRI CT scan, the brain begins to take on the appearance of a starry sky. But in all actuality, each star is a fluid-filled cyst with the beginnings of a tapeworm inside, fully equipped with hooks for impaling our brains. Recently, a report was published by the CDC on the public health implications of cysticercosis acquired in the United States. Cerci, or cysticercosis, in the brain has emerged as a cause of severe neurologic disease in the U.S. Even after cerci infects the brain, some people remain asymptomatic throughout their lives, while many others infected with cerci can go for years without displaying symptoms and then suddenly become very sick with seizures, headaches, and other focal neurological deficits, as cerci multiplies and spreads throughout the nervous system and other tissues and can cause sudden death simply due to the buildup of pressure. For YPN News, I'm Larry McGee. Catan Jeff, back to you.
Wow, very interesting. Sure to shed a new light on what's going on inside people's brains. In other news, neighbors heard the unusual sounds of arguing at a nearby home Saturday night. What they later learned transpired shocked them. Bernalillo County deputies found a gruesome scene inside. Former pastor Greg Guerrero, along with his wife and 3 of their kids, all under the age of 10, shot to death. Now, investigators say that each victim was shot several times with several different types of guns, including an assault rifle. Now, the suspected shooter is the former pastor's own son, 15-year-old Nehemiah. Investigators and neighbors alike are still trying to make sense of everything. Now, in another murder, an exterminator was seen on surveillance tape. He has allegedly confessed to the murder of a 35-year-old Melissa Katanuti. Now, she is a pediatrician in the area of Philadelphia. Now, 36-year-old Jason Smith, a man with no criminal background and had no connection to the doctor whatsoever, but reportedly had a long history of anger problems. Smith, an exterminator, showed up at the victim's home in order to handle her rodent problem. Captain James Clark of the Philadelphia Police Department alleges that Smith and Mrs. Katanuti got into some type of argument. It went terribly wrong, and at some point he struck her. Then he strangled her to death, and then, lastly, Jeff, he set her body on fire to hide what he had done. After hours of questioning, Smith admitted to the murder. Sources say that Smith accused Katanuti of belittling him. He snapped and apparently tried to cover up the crime by setting her body ablaze. A family friend of Smith said that he was a problem child growing up. He had behavioral and anger issues, and he liked setting things on fire.
Looks like a pattern was established. Now, former FBI Special Agent Brad Garrett says that people like Smith usually walk around with a huge chip on their shoulders, and they feel so inadequate and so insecure that any perceived belittlement of them will usually set them off.
Now, the city of Oakland, California is looking for a new idea to stop the city's surge in gun violence. In 2012, there was 117 gun deaths in Oakland and 16 since the Newtown, Connecticut shooting in December. Hundreds of local residents attended a local city council meeting begging for answers and expressing their shock and fear. That fear is shared by Vice Mayor Larry Reed, who wears a bulletproof vest when he goes and attends these community meetings.
Amazing. Oakland has a long history of crime linked to drugs, gangs, and poverty. But on a single day, 4 people were shot dead all within 6 hours. Now, Mr. Reed says the problem is too many guns on the streets in the hands of young people that aren't afraid to use them. He also blames budget cuts that reduced the number of officers on the streets from 800 to 600. He says that on any given shift, there's only 40 officers on the street in a city of 400,000 people.
Wow.
Now, last year, 131 people were murdered in Oakland, and Vice Mayor Reed admits they need help, and they need it bad.
Well, the wars that will kill a third part of men over a fourth part of the earth appear to be right around the corner. In the wake of escalating tension along the Kashmir border between India and Pakistan, an advisory has been issued by the Kashmir police asking their people to brace up for possible nuclear war. It has sent shockwaves among the people, giving rise to fear and speculation.
The comprehensive advisory was published in a local English language paper and provides meticulous details on precautionary measures to be taken, including the construction of bomb-proof basements where the whole family can stay for a fortnight. It also recommends families stockpile non-perishable food, water, candles, and battery lights.
One political commentator in Kashmir said, "It has to be taken seriously. Now we wonder why this advisory has been given only in Kashmir. Though India and Kashmir want to test their nuclear weapons in Kashmir, that makes us a bit serious about it, given the fact that there were tensions recently on what they call the LOC, which is the line of control between the two nations."
Now, the advisory also gives detailed instructions as to what people should do from the onset of a nuclear explosion. For example, stay down after initial shockwave is one thing they said. Wait for the winds to die down and debris to stop falling. If a blast wave does not arrive within 5 seconds of the flash, you're far enough from ground zero.
Well, when one Kashmir resident was asked what he thought about the officials' advisory, he said, "It has created panic among the common Kashmir people. We feel like a warlike situation should not be broken out between India and Pakistan. It would be disastrous for the whole subcontinent as well as for India and Pakistan, as well, of course, as the Kashmir people."
Officials say it's a routine advisory to create awareness among people. However, its citizens and observers believe that use of nuclear weapons in Kashmir would be disastrous to the entire world. Currently, the pristine waters of Kashmir are used by huge chunks of China, India, and Pakistan, so it's a major source of water for a vast portion of Central Asia.
Now, the most recent skirmishes in which 2 Indian and 3 Pakistani soldiers were killed have caused the fragile peace process in the Muslim-majority region to become increasingly unraveled. So much so that the Kashmir officials feel it is necessary to prepare its people for the worst possible scenario.
As if the war between Pakistan and India isn't enough to worry about, North Korea is now making a new threat aimed directly at the United States. North Korea, along with its young dictator, announcing they will test their nuclear powers and saying they will put America on notice.
The U.S. responded by warning North Korea not to try another nuclear test, saying it would be a mistake and needlessly provocative. but those warnings seemed only to provoke the new young leader even more. For those who hope that Kim Jong-un would be less threatening and dangerous than his late father, those hopes are now gone.
North Korea is now directly challenging the United States and publicly announced the reclusive nation, warning the world that it will soon test a nuclear weapon. Long-range rockets, one after another, today is vowing that the target of its missiles and nuclear aggression at America, its sworn enemy.
Now, Joe Cercerino, the president of Plowshares Fund, said he's trying to show, referring to the president, Kim Jong-un, he's trying to show that he can't be pushed around. Now, North Korea first tested a nuclear bomb in 2006. Now, it's believed they have a nuclear arsenal as many as 12 weapons and powerful ones. The last test in 2009 revealed a bomb about half as powerful as the one that destroyed Hiroshima.
Right. A bomb this size, of course, could level an area roughly about the size of lower Manhattan. It's believed their missiles can travel about 6,000 miles at best, but capable of hitting Hawaii. Currently, North Korea is believed to be working on the ability to make a nuclear weapon small enough to place atop a missile, which they obviously haven't achieved yet. And that can be launched at a so-called enemy, which they made it apparent in the United States, they being their sworn enemy.
Now, Senator John Kerry, the nominee for the next Secretary of State, was on Capitol Hill this week for his confirmation hearings. He said, China is cooperating now with us on Iran. I think there might be more we could do perhaps with North Korea. There could be more we could do in other parts of the Far East also, he said. Now, Katan, once again, we've seen these news articles proving Bible prophecy. We've seen the sickness and disease. We've seen the love of many growing cold with all the murders. And we've seen nuclear threats in many parts of the world. Now, we know very well that the next prophecy that we're going to see fulfilled is the 1/3 of men killed over that fourth part of the earth in and around the great river Euphrates.
Right. And if you're watching this broadcast, you don't have anything to worry about, you can find out what you need to do by getting in touch with the House of Yahweh and ordering your free copy of the Prophetic Word and monthly newsletter. You can do so by writing the House of Yahweh at P.O. Box 2498, Abilene, Texas 79604. Or you can call them at 1-800-613-9494. You can also send them an email at info@yahweh.com. Of course, for all calls outside the United States, please call the number on your screen.
Don't go anywhere. Up next is Yeshua Hawkins, so grab a pencil and paper and your Holy Scriptures and prepare to be enlightened on what the Holy Scriptures really say. From all of us here at YPN News, I'm Jeffrey Heimerman.
And I'm Katan Alexander.
Thanks for watching.